Hey guys, how about a little Turkey Day unboxing? Just arrived yesterday, didn't get a chance to open it. Got a little bit of time before I gotta head out for Thanksgiving dinner. So I thought I'd take a look at it. I know what it is, but I have not seen it in person before. So you may recall I got an RCA 621 TS chassis, what was it, last year? That actually kind of works on all the original parts, but no cabinet. The owner had repurposed the cabinet, and I just got the chassis with a good CRT, which is a huge plus, but I don't have anything to do with it, you know. I'm not inclined to make a clear plastic enclosure for it or anything. Well, lo and behold, another collector reached out to me and said, hey, I have a cabinet without a chassis. So we worked out a deal, and it just arrived. And as always, one has to be concerned when shipping large things like this about them being destroyed in shipping, but this appears to be alright from what I can see. A little awkward to get out. Box on its side and try to slide it out. Should have the knobs as well. Alright, here we go. Ta-da. So, for those of you who don't know, the RCA 621 TS was one of the first TVs really on the market from anybody, but in particular RCA. They rushed to get these out, I believe, in time for Christmas of '46. So the way the early model numbers work, 621 TS means it's 1946, and a 21 means it has 20 tubes. Its sister set was the 630 TS, which was the larger screen, higher tube count, same year. And then they had a projection set. Those, I believe, well, there were some other kind of obscure variations, but those were the three models. The 7-inch set, the 10-inch set, then they had a rear projection set. Several of my viewers have been asking me for years to do a 621 TS, and I do have another one that I paid way too much for. Kind of getting serious about collecting. Paid too much because it has dead CRT. But otherwise, it's in pretty good shape. But I think I'll restore this one first, because I know that this chassis I already made a video where I did a slow power up, and we got a raster of sorts. So it's most definitely a great restoration candidate. So now at least we can put them all together. Man. Feels like inside of all this there's a box somewhere. Sometimes find it amusing when they use more tape on the packing on the inside than they do on the outside. There we go. It's both the glass and the wood. Sometimes the lamination starts failing and get bubbles start creeping in from the side. But this one's alright. A couple real minor chips, but otherwise that is a clean piece of glass. No issues with that. And here's the wood front. I didn't realize how light this was. I don't know what it's made out of. But that is, maybe it's poplar? I don't know, but it hardly weighs anything. But the important thing is it's in good condition. So yeah, that's how big the screen is. This was not an inexpensive set. But this is not an electrostatic set, it's electromagnetic. It's the only set that was made They used a 7-inch magnetic CRT, and they're supposed to produce a fantastic picture because of that. So I'm very curious to get one of these fully working, as I have not. There's one at the museum that we were playing around with in October. We kind of got it working, as I recall, but I've not had one of my own that worked. Here we have the hardware. We have knobs and we have clips. So all the key things are here, because often these clips are missing, or the glass is broken, or the bezel's been modified. So the sides being a little messed up, that's the least of my concerns. And we have the top glue. The very fragile top hat knob, which I almost just dropped and broke. It's Bakelite, and there are a couple points where it's really thin material, and they tend to break because of that. Renovated radios does make reproduction. It's not inexpensive, it's a difficult thing to mold, but at least it is possible to get one. So otherwise they're quite hard. And fine tuning fits in the middle through those openings on the side. Not the most robust design, but it looks real nice. And here's all the outer knobs. Like you said, some of the inner knobs might be missing, but I have spares if they are. And here's all the hardware that holds the front on. So, I guess for the rest of this video, we'll put this cabinet back together, and I'll try fitting the chassis inside of it, and we can get a complete set. I'm not sure if there's anything in here. Oh, that was it. That was it, yeah. So, it's missing the 3 inner knobs, but I know I have those, unless they're hiding in here somewhere, but I don't think so. That's cool. I'm just glad I got here in one piece, so I was just a little worried about it. Alright, sort out this hardware and see about putting the front back on this cabinet, I mean. I moved things down to the workshop. Here's a closer look at the cabinet. Unfortunately, I think I will have to refinish it, at least the 2 sides. These scratches go through the finish down to the wood, and of course we have these chip outs in the back, and yeah, that's not going to touch up very easily. It is complete finish loss around some of the edges too, which is a drag because, well, the most important things, the front and the top, are in fine condition and definitely just need a little touch up. The usual thing I do, a little light sanding and some clear coat. So what I'll do is I'll do some selective refinishing. This trim needs a little touch up. I think it's just solid black or very dark brown, extra dark walnut maybe. And then there's the side, which is similar deal. Some chip veneer, alligator finish, really alligator finish. Got accordion. So while we're looking at this, here's an interesting question: is what is this? I now own 2 of them. The other one I haven't seen in a while because it's been in storage for some time. Well, I've always heard there are 2 versions of this, mahogany and walnut. And I've seen people ask many times when they get one of these on the internet, they ask, well, which one do I have? So I've been studying this and trying to decide, and I'm still not quite sure. Man, the top is face cut veneer, which doesn't really help matters much. And leaning towards mahogany. What doesn't help matters is it could be walnut that they used the mahogany colored finish to make it a little bit reddish. Man, I don't know. I'll have to ask any of you 621 TS owners out there. This is definitely the original finish, but things can fade over time. This is walnut, or is this mahogany? I think the front, well, it curves around, so if the top is face cut, this has to be face cut too. Face cut is where you get the wider grain figures. Quarter cut is where it's really straight. So, the sides I would guess are quarter cut, but they're also rather thin pieces. I think there's a seam here, so I think we might have 1, 2, 3, or no, seams up here. So 1, 2, I think 3, and then maybe a fourth. I can't tell if this bottom is 1 strip or 2. Yeah, man, I'm not quite sure. It's important because if I refinish the sides, I want to know, do I use medium brown walnut or brown mahogany, which are the two go-tos for everything from the 30s and 40s. This is made out of mahogany or walnut. Anyways, all that aside, let's see if we can put this back together. So, notice the opening with these cleats, I'm going to call them. So, if you've watched any of my videos on early RCAs or a Crosley clone recently of a 630 TS, all the early RCAs from 46, 47 CRTs are installed from the front. In fact, the sets did not ship with CRTs. My thinking on that is RCA invested, well, regardless of what you think of RCA and their business practices, they did invest a lot of money in television. They really wanted it to succeed. So when they launched these sets, I think they sold them without CRTs installed, partly because it meant that if you bought a set, you had to have a service tech come to your house and install it and set it up, which seems to me would dramatically increase the chances of it working properly and being set up right with the antenna and all that, and adjusted to have as good a picture as was possible at the time, because they wanted this to work. Imagine people who had never nobody ever had a TV before. They didn't know what rabbit ears were, or how to adjust them, and how to do the fine tuning, and set up an aerial on the rooftop and all that. Maybe somewhat from radio, but TV was a little bit different. So I think that's at least partly why they did it. Even on the little 7-inch set. That's why this whole front is taken off. It's meant to come off. And then when I install this chassis, and that one of the things, if you've never worked on a set from this era, is the picture tubes do not mount to the chassis. So when you're working on them, the picture tube is completely unsupported when it's out of the cabinet, which makes it a little trickier. You don't have a little baby test CRT. So, yeah, this is dirty. It could be touched up and cleaned up a bit, but since, well, one, it's it's well below freezing now, and probably will be for some time. I'm definitely not going to be spraying anything on this anytime soon. So I don't see much point in trying to clean it or touch it up or do anything with it now. I'm just going to put it together as best I can so I don't lose any bits and pieces. So, chassis goes in first, then we install the CRT from the front. There should be some pads on here that are missing. I'll put some felt on there. And the last thing we do is install the faceplate and the safety glass. Bottom of the set is in good condition. All 4 hard rubber feet are here and decent enough. Bottom plate covers here. Looks like there should be 5 bolts that secure the chassis. It's a drag that we're missing the back. Should be here. Oh, nice. Didn't realize there would be a sheet of asbestos in here, but that's what that is up on the top there. We're not going to touch that or mess with it. We're just going to leave it alone. Now this top piece, I knew it came off because you need to get it off to check the tubes and all that. And I heard there's different configurations from how it attaches. This one is a spring latch. That's not what I was expecting at all. But there we go. Isn't that neat? So I guess you'd reach into the set from behind and find a little catch and flip it. It's like a buckle kind of thing. And that locks into that. Looks like it's original. Cool, so I guess I'll just leave this off for now. It'll probably help me put things together. So let's put this off to the side a little bit. Get the chassis out. Alrighty, here's the chassis. Again, if you see me working on these early RCAs, it should look familiar, but it's just sort of a squished, condensed version. Very similar to the 721 chassis, which is a 10-inch CRT. But see, this picture tube, I just stuffed some rags under the front. That's why it's able to be here at all. But right now you have to unmount it. Electromagnetic ion trap magnet rather than a permanent magnet. Get that out of the way. Let's cut this. I also looked up when I got this. It was more recent than I realized or than I remembered. It was in March of this year. So not all that long And, I did do a video on it, did do a slow power up, and we did get a very distorted raster, but all the major components are good, we know that much. Get my rag out of the way. Alright, so we are going to slide this in. This is the original power cord too. Super crispy. It's definitely going to get replaced at some point. For now. This is heavy. Looks small and compact, but it's it's heavy. A big power transformer on there. But there we go. So line up the controls, and then I'll have to tip it on its side to get the bolts in there. I wedged some stuff under this side of the chassis to get it up to the right level so that the bolt holes lined up, and scavenged some old original bolts and installed one new one here. I'll tighten down a little bit more, and then we can resume putting this all back together. Here is the felt I'm going to use. Some kind of stuff you put under like a trophy or a vase or something, doesn't scratch. Adhesive on one side, felt on the other. Cut out some little rectangles and put them on these cleats. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to do anything to this, but I'm thinking it's going to be somewhat on display somewhere. So why don't I just do a little something to it? So I pulled out some Howard's Feed and Wax. I'm a little low on Gojo, so I'm not even going to bother cleaning this. It's a bit dirty. I'm just going to throw some of this right on top, and I'm going to do it now before I reinstall this stuff while I got everything. Well, I got that top out of the way, make it a little bit easier. So, even in the condition it's in, it'll make it look nicer. It'll, well, it smells real nice too. It smells like oranges, and it will protect the wood. See dirt come off. Normally you should clean it before you put wax on, but this is all I'm going to do. Just a little something before I give it a major overhaul. Alrighty, so next up I'll cut some little rectangles and pop the picture. Don't need to do anything fancy here, we just don't want to have metal directly on glass. So, cut strip out of this. Cut some pieces. Oh, about an inch long, 1/4 inch wide, something like that. Do nicely. Don't need to be precise with this. It's totally invisible outside the cabinet. And then there are screws here you can loosen up, and then you can slide these in and out to center picture tube. See, this one's up much higher than that one, so this one's probably got to go down a little bit. This one's got to come up a little bit. Alright, it's in there. It's in a little bit further than it should be. It's a little cockeyed, but I'm not going to go nuts with this because I know I'm just going to be taking it back out when I fully restore this, but it's certainly good enough for now. Loosen this guy a little bit, make it snug. And do that to all of these. So you loosen this up, you can slide it out, push it against the glass, tighten it down. Yeah, see, that's in there pretty snugly now. Alrighty, so now what? Pop the high voltage lead back on just to get it secured. That's what things look like up here now. Pop this guy on. Alright, now for the rest of it. This faceplate's a little goofy. We've got one threaded shaft sticking out and then one hole. I got a feeling there used to be a threaded shaft on both, and there's probably a wing nut that goes on the other side, but that's long gone. We have holes in the front of the cabinet here. I think this And sticking out goes down. Nope. It's got to go this way. Alright, yeah, that lines up. So there's your mask to make it rectangular looking. There's a better angle for you. Looking through the hardware that's shipped, I don't have a nut to go over that screw. But, boy, what's that? Man, I don't even know how you get at that. You know, maybe it's just there as a guide now that I think about it, because you put the glass over this and then there's clips that hold that on, so maybe that's all you need. As far as that goes, got 5 screws. 2 there, and I think 2 go up there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe 1 screw did come in from the back and go into this guy, but I'm going to leave it out for now. I do need to put this back on. Good, that lines up pretty well. And we've got glass, which is square, so I'm going to clean some schmutz off of it. Dirty on the outside. Oh, I guess it isn't completely symmetrical. Yeah, slightly longer in one dimension than another. And then we get these clips that go like so. Which, yeah, there's a little remains of a pad on the back. Let's see, where are those brass screws? Going like so. The last thing in the world I want to do is lose any of this stuff. It's why, even if it's a little sloppy, a little bit loose, they're all here. Put them in a coffee can or something. They're liable to get mixed in or misplaced. Alrighty. Oh, we're not done. There's one final little snazzy bit. Is get a cover that goes over those. You can see those ugly screws. I think that's how it goes. So we do have another clip thing, but this has holes in it. So if you put that over the screws, you still see the screws. So I'm not sure which clip goes where. I'll have to look at some reference photos online. And there we have it. A classic Vassos designed in 1946 RCA 621TS. Got all the knobs installed. Now the clip, so I finally figured it out. So that U-shaped bit that has kind of wings on the end, that goes flat with the side, so like the U channel is like this. And then this slides in to cover the screw heads. So I am missing both pieces for down here, so I need another set of those. I imagine you could bend up some sheet brass, not the most difficult thing to fabricate, but other than that, I think it's looking pretty darn sharp. So, for now, this goes out on display. Eventually, it will get restored. That is it for now. Thanks for watching this very lucky marriage of a semi-working chassis and a semi-decent cabinet.